What I want to do is show you how to make a histogram using two different methods. The first method I'm going to use is a pivot table method, and then I'll use the chart method. Anyway, what I have right here is some data that I just brought in. These are phone bill overages for your basic sort of cell phone sort of thing. So what I have here, if you take a quick look at it, is if we can skim down, we can see that we've got 50 observations. And there's some nice data there. Okay, doesn't matter what sort of data you have, but there it is. All right, now one of the things we can do is we'll just get started by getting this data together, and then we're going to insert a pivot table. And our pivot table, we select the range. It's already done. And I'm going to put this pivot table here in the existing worksheet by just picking a spot for it. That'll do. And this is where our data will show up. All right. Now, if you go over here to the right, you'll see where it says phone bill overages. So since I highlighted the label with the data, I have a nice little label over here on my chart, which makes things a little easier. Anyway, I'm going to need to bring that down to either row labels, in which case I'll have a frequency table that is created as you see on the left, or column labels that'll be created over on the right. Anyway, I kind of like row labels. I think they look better like that. I also have to go up here and drag this variable down here to sum of values. Now, you'll notice that when I'm over here, all it's really done is listed each observation with each observation, kind of useless. So go back over here to the sum of values box. If you left click on it and then value field settings, what we're going to do is put this together in sort of a histogram or frequency table. So I need count there. So I click OK there. Now I've got count. So each observation shows up once in this particular set of data. In other words, I don't have a lot of modes here. All I have is a fairly short listing of data. Now, if I go over here and click on any piece of data, so it's highlighted, and then right click, I go down to here to group. When I group, this is what's going to set up what your book refers to as bins, or the size of each of the cells as they go across. Now, I don't particularly like to have my cells starting at such odd numbers, so I'll usually go back here and simply start at something just smaller than the lowest number, and then I have to decide how large a bin I want. Now, to do this, you can use the formula in the book, which says that you take the range of the data and divide by the number of desired bins. Well, if you looked, we had a range of about 118. I'm going to divide that into bins of roughly 20. I can either put ending up there or leave it alone. The program will take care of it, because you'll notice my bins here now start from 2 to 22 and then 22 to 42, etc., all the way up to 102. This is a very nice frequency table. Nice and clean, very pretty. But I do want to take a look at a chart here to get a histogram out of this. So I go up here and click on Pivot Chart. I'm going to scroll up until I have a pivot chart that gives me columns. Double click on that or click OK. Here it is. Now, to do this, I don't particularly like to have all these little gaps in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to Chart Layout, go down to number 8, and you'll notice that number 8 here just has all of the bars right next to each other. So I just click on that. There they are. Now all I have to do is clean up the titles. By that, I just click on it and then go in and change the titles. There's histogram, and then I can go check each of these axis titles here. How about I just call that overages, and then I can check this other axis title too. But basically I'm done. All I'm doing now is just cleaning it up and making it pretty, which is nice because it does present well in a presentation this way. So here I have my frequency, and there I have it. Nice, huh? Okay, well, that works. Now, The other way I'm going to do it is I'm going to do it using the chart method out of the book. To do that, I'm just going to copy this data over again and put it on another sheet so they don't end up all over the place. So I'm going to pick another sheet. There we go. So there's my data again. Now, at this point, what I'm going to do is I have to go up here and get my data analysis. And to do that, I go over here to my data analysis. Now I'm going to go down here to histogram. Well, actually, I'm not going to do that yet. Because it turns out to do this, I really need to do some descriptive statistics first. I already have my data because I highlighted it. I need to tell it I put a label in the first row. My output range, let's go decide where I'm going to put this output. Yeah, D5, D6 looks fine. I'm going to want my summary statistics, so I say OK. Now, to make this a little easier to read, I'm going to expand my columns a little bit. You'll notice that down here I have no mode because I only have each observation only shows up exactly once. I do, however, have some other interesting information, this minimum and maximum. That becomes useful in order to determine the bin size, because as we know, the bin size formula from the book is to take the range divided by the number of desired bins. Well, okay, in order to do that, I'm going to do this with a formula that's going to be equals to, and the range is the maximum minus the minimum. I want to take that and then going to associate those real quick. Then I'm going to divide by the number of desired bins. Let's say I want maybe 5 bins? Sure, why not? How about 5 bins? That gives me a bin size of 23. Well, okay, I can use 23, but I don't want to use 23.442. I probably want to round that either up or down so it makes some nice round numbers. For the last one, I used a bin size of 20, so I'll go ahead and do that and just make a bin size of 20. Now, in order to use the chart method for histograms, I really do need to type in my bins. To type in my bins, I need to actually put the maximum limit for each bin in the list. Okay, well, gosh, what do I want to do with this? Well, my first bin is going to go up to 20. My second bin, oops, I messed that up. My first bin is going to be a maximum of 20. Hit enter, there we go. My next bin is going to be the previous bin plus the next bin size. Now, the catch here with this is that since I'm going to do this in a row, I probably want to make this an absolute cell reference. To do that, I put $signs in here so that when I copy this in a minute, it continues to go back and pick the bin size that I'm interested in. So I am going to copy this down until I have bins up here up to about 120. Let's make that one bin size bigger, like that. Okay. All right, so now I've got my bins, now I've got my data. I also have some other descriptive statistics here, but now I can go off and actually find my histogram. To do that, I go back up here to data analysis, go down to histogram. There it is at the top of the list. There's histogram. I still have the data highlighted over here. You can just draw it out. You'll notice I do have the label included, so I need to tell it that. For my bin range, my bins are actually here. Actually, there. Just want the bin range in numbers. And there it is. Now the question is, where do I want to put that? Well, let's choose where I put that. How about we put it about there? There we go. We do need to remember to click Chart Output, otherwise it doesn't give us what we want. So we click Chart Output. Well, okay, now I've got a frequency table and I've got a little histogram, but boy, that's an ugly histogram. So, label's done, but gosh, this isn't too pretty. First of all, I certainly don't want that more out there because there really isn't anything in that bin. So what I do is I have to actually highlight the row with more in it, and I have to delete that entire row. which you'll notice takes things out of my data over here too, so that's kind of an ugly little problem with this. But anyway, I got rid of that. But I still have all these spaces in my histogram that I don't much like. So what I need to do is click on any one of these bars, and that's just a nice little left click on the bar. Then, once you have it with the little dots like that, right click on it, go to Format Data. There it is. Notice where it says gap width. I don't want any gaps, so let's get rid of those. Now, there we are. Now I have a histogram. Now this is a fine little histogram. Everything looks okay. I don't really have this title down here is kind of ugly. This is phone overages, as I recall. It does, however, already have the frequency and histogram label, but basically I kind of prefer the pivot table method to this one, though this is probably the method that most people are more comfortable with, because a lot of people haven't used histograms out of pivot table, but boy, those pivot tables can be useful. All right, so that's the way it works.